She invited me to her wedding to humiliate me in front of 300 guests, and she even paid for my travel. The message had arrived weeks earlier, wrapped in fake politeness and subtle cruelty. It would mean a lot if you came. What she meant was, come watch me replace you. What she wanted was an audience for my downfall. So I came. The venue shimmered with white roses and golden lights, laughter echoing beneath a glass ceiling. I could feel the stares the moment I stepped out of the car. Tailored suit, calm face, no trace of the man she thought she broke. Inside, whispers followed me like smoke. Some recognized me. Others had heard stories. She stood at the altar, radiant, victorious, until her eyes met mine. For a second, just one, her smile faltered. That was enough, because she thought she had invited a ghost. She had no idea she had just opened the door for the storm. I used to be the man she introduced as safe, not successful, not ambitious, just safe. My name is Ayan, and for 7 years, I built a life with her from nothing but patience and quiet effort. While she chased attention, I worked in silence, long hours, small wins, steady progress. I wasn't flashy, and I didn't need to be. I believed loyalty would be enough. It wasn't. Somewhere along the way, she stopped seeing me as a partner and started treating me like a placeholder. Decisions were made without me. Conversations turned into monologues. And every time I tried to fix things, she'd smile that same dismissive smile and say, "You worry too much." What she meant was, "You don't matter enough to worry about." I ignored the signs, late night calls, hidden messages, sudden work trips. Not because I was blind, but because I believed in what we had. Or maybe I believed in who she used to be. The day I found out the truth, she didn't even deny it. She just looked at me, cold, detached, and said, "You were never enough for the life I want." And just like that, I became the man she thought she could erase. The humiliation didn't start with the invitation. It started long before that, quietly, almost politely. At dinners with her friends, she'd correct me in front of everyone, her tone light but precise. "That's not exactly how it happened," she'd say, smiling as if she were helping me. I'd nod, let it pass, even when I knew I was right. It was easier than making a scene. She began introducing me differently too. Not as her husband, just Ayan. No context, no weight, like I was someone passing through her. Life instead of someone who built it with her. There were pauses that said more than words. Moments when I'd speak, and she'd look past me, already bored. Moments when her phone would light up, and her expression would soften in a way it hadn't for me in months. Once, at a small gathering, someone joked that she was out of my league. She didn't laugh. She just took a slow sip of her drink and said, "People grow." It wasn't loud. It wasn't cruel on the surface, but it was deliberate. Each word, each glance, each silence, carefully placed, like she was rewriting the story of us. One small erasure at a time. The moment everything changed wasn't loud. It was quiet, almost ordinary. I found the confirmation by accident. An email left open on her laptop. Flight bookings, 2 tickets, same destination as one of her work trips. His name wasn't hidden. It didn't need to be. By then, she had already stopped pretending. I didn't confront her immediately. I sat there for a long time, staring at the screen, feeling something unfamiliar settle in. Not anger, not even heartbreak, clarity. When I finally asked her, she didn't panic, didn't apologize. She just closed the laptop, met my eyes, and said, "I didn't think you'd find out like this." Like it was an inconvenience. That was the moment I understood. This wasn't a mistake she made. It was a decision she stood by, and I was the only one still holding on to something that no longer existed. I walked away that night without raising my voice, without asking for explanations she'd never give. But I didn't leave empty-handed. I took the truth with me. And somewhere between that silence and the next morning, I made a decision of my own. I wouldn't fight her. I'd outgrow her. I didn't rush. That was the difference between us. While she was busy rewriting her life in public, I started rebuilding mine in private, methodically, piece by piece. The first step wasn't emotional. It was legal. I reviewed every contract, every joint account, every asset we had quietly accumulated over the years. Most of it, ironically, had my name on it. I had structured things that way out of caution, never imagining I'd need it. Then I hired a lawyer, not someone loud or aggressive, someone precise. We went through everything. Timelines, financial transfers, property rights. I documented what mattered and ignored what didn't. No accusations, no drama. Just facts neatly arranged. At the same time, I leaned into the work she used to mock. The late nights, the risks she said were pointless. They started paying off. Slowly at first, then all at once. New clients, bigger deals, quiet momentum. I didn't announce it. I didn't need to. By the time the divorce was finalized, she walked away with far less than she expected. And I walked away with something better than revenge. Leverage. So when her wedding invitation arrived, polished, deliberate, almost theatrical, I didn't see it as an insult. I saw it as timing. The ceremony had already begun when I arrived. Late, just enough to be noticed. The Bentley's engine faded into the background as the doors opened, and for a moment everything slowed. Conversations softened, heads turned, and that quiet ripple of recognition moved through the crowd. Not because of the car, but because of me. I walked in without hesitation, measured steps, steady breath. She saw me before anyone else did. Her expression didn't shatter, it slipped. Just slightly. The kind of shift only someone who knew her well would catch. Her grip on the bouquet tightened, her shoulders stiffened, and for the first time that day, she looked unsure. I didn't look at her for long. Instead, I stepped aside. And they followed. 2 people. Calm, professional, uninvited. The music faltered as they approached the front. A quiet exchange, a document presented. The groom's smile faded first. Confusion turning into something sharper. Questions low and urgent. Her voice tighter now, trying to regain control. But control was already gone. Within minutes, the ceremony unraveled. Not with chaos, but with silence. The kind that says everything without a single raised voice. At first, no one moved. 300 people, dressed for celebration, suddenly unsure where to look. The whispers didn't start immediately. They crept in, low and cautious, as if the truth needed permission to be spoken out loud. The groom stepped back first, not dramatically, just one slow step, then another, creating a distance that hadn't existed seconds ago. His expression wasn't anger, it was realization, the kind that settles deep and doesn't leave. Someone close to him tried to speak, but he raised a hand, silencing them without breaking eye contact with her. She, on the other hand, unraveled quietly. Her voice lost its certainty. Her posture, once perfect, began to fold in on itself. The same room she had filled with confidence now felt too small, too exposed. Every glance from the guests carried weight. Questions, judgments, shifting loyalties. Reputation doesn't collapse loudly. It erodes in moments like this. I didn't need to say anything. I didn't need to explain. The truth had done its work, clean, precise, undeniable. And for the first time in a long while, I wasn't the man being looked at with pity. I was the one people finally understood. I didn't stay to watch the ending. Some stories don't need an audience once the truth has been revealed. As I walked back through the same doors I had entered, the noise behind me faded into something distant, irrelevant. Not because it didn't matter, but because it no longer belonged to me. For the first time in years, I wasn't carrying the weight of someone else's choices. There was no rush of victory, no surge of triumph, just quiet, the kind that comes when something unfinished finally closes. I realized then that this was never about ruining her day. It was about reclaiming mine. The years I spent being overlooked, the silence I mistook for peace, the patience I gave to someone who saw it as weakness. Outside, the air felt different, lighter. My phone buzzed once. A message from my lawyer confirming what I already knew. Everything was settled, clean, final. I got into the car, not as a statement, but as a continuation. Because the truth is, I didn't win that day. I simply stopped losing. And sometimes, that's the only victory that matters.